Well, it's early morning at the parking lot of the Quality Inn in Toledo, Ohio. And we got a few things loaded up on the trailer. Picked up the Lily engine at Jonas Stutzman's shop yesterday afternoon. And we got a couple items here for trading material up at Chris Shea's in Minnesota. Electric generator, steam generator from a locomotive, and an air tank that my friend Jim Mead is taking along that's sold, and a very old, probably pre-1880 lath mill. It saws multiple lath, self-feeding. You can put up to 5 saws in it depending on your power. Came out of a water-powered sawmill. So, looks like the rain is subsided somewhat, and we'll be heading on to Minnesota, and I'll keep you updated. The main problem here in Illinois is about half of the interstate road is in such bad shape that you can't drive the limit, and the tolls are unbelievable. We've totaled up about $60 each way, even though we're trying to find roads to avoid them on the way home. Alright, here we are unloading the Richards engine off the trailer. Mike Waller is lending a hand today. Gonna put some rollers under it, run it down close, and then drag it in the rest of the way with a come along. Okay, we're ready to roll.
That's the way to do it.
All right, continue.
You guys aren't done yet?
You just missed the exciting bit. Get my safety man in position.
Yeah, good. You get out, that's right.
Right?
Yeah, take her out. Should have wore my steel toes.
If this falls on you, they won't do you much good.
You're gonna run into this too. Is there anything we can do to get that underneath there to get it started?
You're gonna need to get a new hookup on your come along.
Adam Booth uses.
Okay. Yeah, we got some slack, so.
I got some slack.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good now. The wood's sliding beautifully.
Action.
We got a game plan here, or we're just gonna go, keep going straight, or?
Just keep going straight, and then we're gonna turn it when we get in there.
That's your roller's coming, Dave, that's it. Okay. You're running out of roller. You should get, come on.
All right, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Over here. Better. Okay. Oh, we're gonna run right off on that roller.
Okay. So I'm gonna drop the back.
Bang. All right, now we're gonna
Now we're gonna swivel.
we're gonna bar it around.
Does this have to get out of here too, or no?
Not according to the measurements.
Okay. Did you figure out those?
Oh,
Okay, so this is the rigging crew, and we got the engine barred in place here and partly lined up. Gonna run a 10-inch belt from here up to there and see how it goes. Well, this is the engine from Richard's Iron Works, Manitowoc, Wisconsin. All I had to go by was some photos that Chris sent me this winter, and you know, you can't tell much from photos. And all I can say is that this engine far exceeds my wildest expectations as far as its condition is concerned. I don't know how this could have survived. It appears to have seen very little use, and I'll get some close-ups here and show you some of the fine points of it. I suspect it was built about 1880. That would be my guess. I don't know, I can't find anything on these engines, and as far as I know, this is the only one that exists. According to some ads that I've seen in some really old engineering catalogs, they were making marine engines and also mill type engines, which this is, in several sizes, they say. Well, almost all the castings here are marked 8 by 10 for the 8 by 10 size that it is, so it would lead me to believe that they had several sizes, so they marked their castings so they could keep them straight quickly on the shelf. But it's a very simple, inefficient design, very similar to the O&S, the little O&S engine here that we've been using. But it's a much more refined engine. It's machined nicer and it's designed nicer. It has a gravity governor, which puts it back pretty far. I'm assuming this is the original governor. It's a 2-inch Gardner, and if you remember in the earlier videos when we were rebuilding the Pickering governor, I mentioned a little bit about the Pickering and how it's different from these gravity governors. They didn't really have any main spring. They relied on the weight of the balls to open the valve when they dropped down, and then of course close the valve when they came up. But it's quite a heavy governor. It's just a simple slide valve, and the valve drive mechanism is very similar to the O&S. The crosshead is different in that it's horizontal, and It's on this riveted frame. I don't believe it was original to the engine. It looks like it could have been something from a railroad infrastructure. I don't know, like a semaphore or something like that. It's really heavy built. The flywheel is 44 inches in diameter and 10 inches wide. And I'll move it in a little closer here so you can see. It's an 8 by 10 dimension, 8-inch diameter bore, 10-inch stroke. The frame, it's not really a box frame like the really early engines were. Being a center crank, it looks a little like a frick, the way the engine frame is cast, kind of curving under the engine. And these crosshead slides are similar to a frick. But interesting thing here is the crosshead is completely Babbitted. All the running surfaces, both the side thrusts and the top and the bottom here, are Babbitted and machined. I took these two top slide plates off to clean a little bit of surface rust and old dried on grease, and the shaper or planer marks are very visible. There is no ridge at the end of the stroke on any of the parts at all. Even the piston rod has axial marks from where they burnished it. Typically, not having very good steel, they would use wrought iron for piston rods, and the railroads did this too. And they put them in a lathe with a steady rest, and they ran something like a knurling tool with hard rollers against it and cold worked the surface to make it tougher and probably a little harder on the surface. And I think that's what these marks are that you can see here on the piston rod. But there is no lengthways marks at all, and there is no ridge or anything where the stroke stops. It's amazing to me. Everything is tight. In the bolts, you cannot find one wrench mark on any of the bolts. It's like nothing was ever tightened up. These, what do you call them, tapered gibs, both on the wrist pin and the crank pin. You loosen up a set screw down here and you tap them down with a hammer. And on any engine I've ever seen, they're all beat up from hitting them with a hammer. And there's not a mark on them at all. They're just like they came from the factory. Now you can see a little better detail of the crosshead. And the other thing is, everything was amazingly complete. The only thing I've found missing off it were these oilers here that may not have been on there in the first place. Eight by 10, serial number 521. Same type of valve crosshead that the O&S has. Same idea. And also the Morris cap missing here. Interesting design on the crank. these this whole C-shaped part here is cast iron, and it is the counterweight, and it completely encloses the crank throw here, so they must have been put on from the end and then bolted, and the joint is Babbitted to take up the distance. They are really on there. .44-inch flywheel. Well, the plan for right now is to set it up on the line shaft and run the shop with it. This will be an exercise in amazingly gross overkill. The little O&S is about a 5 horsepower steam engine, and it runs the shop with ease. This engine would probably have been rated at about 40 horsepower. I think running under such a light load that it's not going to use as much steam as you'd think. And if absolutely necessary, I can make a new slide valve for it with more outside lap that will cut off the steam earlier. We'll just try it and see how it goes. But the plan is, in the position that I have it right now, I can run it between the drill press pulley and the center hanger. I've got enough room for a pulley, and I've got an 18-inch pulley. And if I run that against this flywheel, I can spin the line shaft at the same speed that it runs now, and this engine will run less than 100 RPM, which is really the kind of effect I was looking for. Old mill engines just breezed along really slow and silently and effortlessly. Now, I mean, this little engine is just chugging away over here, and it does fine, but it doesn't really have the feel of a mill engine. So we're gonna start fitting some pipes and figuring out how to run the exhaust out a little bit, and be thinking about it and figuring out as we go. The main thing right now is to work on the Morris engine, and then of course be interrupted by small little jobs that come in here. I have one job now that I'm going to start on. It's another sleeve job like we did in the last episode, only it's a much smaller engine. Sleeve has a freeze crack in the bottom of it, and the owner didn't realize it until he started up and ran it for the first time with some water in the jacket, and it filled the cylinder up. So that's the deal. Running the big engine on shop air. First time it's spun in probably 75 years.